to reason. Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Atheist Experience Live. I'm your host, Matt Dillon, and joining me this week, Martin Wagner. Welcome back. It's been a little bit.
It has been, yes.
And normally we would go like straight to announcements, but we're making some changes because the show's shorter. So I'm going to give out the announcements a little bit later, also because we have a special guest on the phone, and then we'll shorten the announcements up and give you the website address here in just a little bit. This is a live public access show sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. And you can find more information about the ACA at www.atheist-community.org. This week, right off the top, we are being joined by David Silverman, the president of American Atheists. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing fine, Matt. Thanks for having me on your show.
Anytime. I hear there's this huge convention coming up in April.
Why, yes, there is, actually. Thank you for mentioning that. By the way, we do have what we're hoping to be the largest American Atheist convention in our history in Des Moines, Iowa, on April 21st to the 24th. We've got a tremendous roster of people coming, including you, Matt Dillahunty.
Really?
Yes, you will be there.
How did you manage that?
And you know what, Matt? You're going to be just awesome.
I hope so.
You're going to be just awesome. And we've got other people like Greta Christina is coming, J.T. Everhart, Tom Flynn, some guy named Christopher Hitchens is going to stop by.
Yeah.
Some guy named Lawrence Krauss is going to stop by, and some guy named P.Z. Myers is going to stop by.
Who's that?
Just these guys.
Some internet crank, I understand.
Somebody,
Yeah.
I guess they must be famous on the internet or something. So,
But here's the kicker. And that's just the start of it. Paul Prevent is going to be there, too. It's going to be 3 full days of programming, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the cost, if you're a student, if you have a valid student ID, you can come to the convention for all 3 days for $20. So we're hoping to really attract some people with student IDs out there. The Secular Student Alliance will have a presence there, and we're doing a big push to get the young people out in Des Moines because people who live in Des Moines, they feel like they're under the thumb of Christianity much more than people who live in Newark, where we had our convention last year. And we are going to be putting up 5 billboards around the city of Des Moines and the billboards will say, "You know there is no God. We know you're right."
And this is the promotion for the convention itself.
It is. It's a promotion for the convention. And the first time we tried to put that up, the billboard company turned us down because, in their opinion, Des Moines is a Christian city.
Outstanding. How did they come by this information?
Yeah.
Is it like in the charter for the city or something?
You know, it
probably is the way
they came through that. But, they're a private company, and we're not going to trash them for having their opinion. They can do whatever business they want to do. But I will tell you that the city of Des Moines is treating us very well.
Good.
They are showing us some serious hospitality. And we've got some big things lined up. We're going to have the world premiere of Matthew Chapman's new movie with Liv Tyler, called The Ledge.
Okay.
That's going to be at the convention. And I will also let you know that there is going to be a major announcement at the convention. I won't tell you what it is, but it's going to be really, really good, and it's going to be really important to the movement.
Will you tell me what it is off the air later?
Yes, I will.
Oh, you're so nice. I thought you'd say no. I was expecting a no. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We've been talking about it a lot on this show, and I mentioned on Nonprofits as well. It'll be my first, I mean, I've been a member of American Atheist, but it'll be the first time I've gone to the National Convention. And so it's kind of odd that the first time I actually get to go, because I would have gone other times, I'm actually kind of on the bill. So we're looking forward to that, Beth and I both.
And I'm looking forward to having you and to finally shaking your hands.
Yeah, me too. And there's a bunch of other people that I've talked to and haven't met, so it's really good, and it's a good opportunity to get people together. I've gone to the Texas Free Thought Convention here, which is just getting bigger every year and is amazing. And I've been to the Amazing Meeting, speaking of amazing. But this will be my first chance to go to American Atheist Convention, and I'm just absolutely thrilled to not only be able to go, but to get the opportunity to address everybody and have a little chat.
And we are absolutely thrilled to have you on, Matt. We're going to have we're going to surround you with stars.
I hope
it's just going to be a star-filled convention, and the intention is to motivate people to come out and to really hammer home the idea that Des Moines is not a Christian city, that there is no such thing as a Christian city, and that every city in every state has an atheist population that can be stirred.
Yep.
And can be brought to a head. And right now, we have more people pre-registered for Des Moines than we had attend Newark last year.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the billboards haven't gone up yet.
Well, I guess all right, I'll have to tell you afterwards, but I'm not going to sleep on the street this trip, so.
This is going to be.
I heard that the first hotel is already sold out and that you've moved to an offshoot hotel, so we're actually looking forward to a packed house up there.
We are looking for a packed house, and the first block of rooms is overflowed, but the overflow hotel is still good. And it's walking distance. It's a short walk away.
All right, give them the website so we can direct people with information.
Thank you very much. The website is atheists.org. That's plural. And it's atheist.org/Des Moines or /convention. They're both the same. And you can go on and you can see the roster, the whole roster. It is a very impressive roster. We're very proud of it. And you can also donate to the billboard campaign to help pay for the 5 billboards that are going up that are going to sit Des Moines up on its ear. That's going to be fun, too.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me on. And, Matt, I'll see you soon.
You bet. Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So I don't have any other actual announcements because that's just way too big.
That was it then.
There's like Godless Gamers at my place tomorrow and stuff, and I'm sure we'll have like happy hours on Thursdays like we normally do.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You can go to the ACA website, www.atheist-community.org. There's a frequently asked questions page there, and I just realized I was looking at the wrong camera the whole time Dave was on the phone, which is funny.
Okay.
And they've been laughing at me in the other room.
They usually do that, so it's not.
And you can find out more information about ACA events, including blood drives, street cleanups, and everything else that we do. I don't know if you had anything specific you wanted to talk about, or if we just want to like start running through the lines.
Well, we can start going through the calls, but I was just going to mention that I have every intention of making TAM again this year. I've been off for like 2 years. I haven't done it since 2008. Yeah, so I'm planning on going back, and I'll be trying to keep people informed as to how that's progressing. And so if any Atheist Experience fans are going to be at TAM this summer, and you guys want to do sort of like a little Atheist Experience meetup at that time, I'd love to meet a bunch of folks out there as well.
And Beth and I would love to go, but we think we've decided that we can't do TAM this year because of the wedding and all the other stuff.
Other plans, yeah. And so Des Moines is going to have to tap you out on conventions probably.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Well, so you do Des Moines, I'll do Vegas.
You bet. We'll split it up.
We'll cover the whole, convention scene, as it were.
And Martin will pose for pictures in all sorts of funny outfits. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed.
Except for that one.
Well, all right, most of them.
That one itched.
We've got, you want to go ahead and
let's do it.
Pete in Green Bay, how are you?
Very good. Good afternoon, guys. I love your show.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Was having a very nice conversation with actually a Baptist minister, and we were just exchanging different ideas, and when I had explained that I was an atheist, the conversation turned real quickly when he found out that I had children, and he said, well, you're actually dooming your children to eternal hell. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I actually don't think that, because my son, who's 5, if I executed him today, which of course I would never do something like that, but
Sure.
I said, for sake of argument, if I did that, the gentleman admitted that he would go straight to heaven. I said, I'm willing to sacrifice my soul.
Not a very good Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
and I said, really, and I said after that, I said the ultimate scam is I could repent, convert to Christianity, or accept Jesus, and I got a 50-50 shot of going to heaven. But even if I don't, I could make the argument I love my son so much, it was worth it. And he had absolutely no response for that. His only response was, well, you really can't trick God like that. And I said, well, explain to me in your belief system how that wouldn't work. Now, obviously, I hope no one would ever, be as delusional to do something like that. But I couldn't see in his belief system.
Well, there are people who are delusional enough to do that and have done it.
Yeah.
I want to advocate to everyone.
Andrea Yates, for example,
Yates,
killed her kids.
John List was another guy who murdered himself.
So there are people who do this. Now, it's nice that there was a semi-amicable conversation going on, but as soon as he said you're dooming your kids to hell, you should have asked him to explain exactly how he knows that, because first of all, if he's half the Baptist preacher that some of the ones I've met, you being an atheist, even as a Baptist, you're not dooming your kids to hell. Your kids are going to make their own choice, and God's already determined whether or not they're going to do that under the Calvinist stuff. So it's
well. To interrupt for a moment, Matt, I think what his argument was is that I'm not capable of leading a good example. I'm not capable of instilling morals into my son, though I've never had. Well, this is all foolish. Yeah, though I've never had any brushes with the law and this.
I wouldn't have wasted any time on theology at that point. If somebody accuses me of being incapable of being a good example for my kid and giving them good moral standing, while they're telling me that they're teaching their kids that they'd better do right by God or they're going to hell, I'm going to let them have it with both barrels, because they're the ones who are actually corrupting their kids' minds.
Well, and that's where I got, and that's why I thought I'm going to really have a dumb off with this guy. I'm going to really push him to confront the idea that I actually would be right, and I don't think that there was anything in his belief that would prevent my son. Because I made the argument. I said,
Here's the thing, Pete.
Would God take that out on my child and say, well, we're going to do a redo? Because I said, then you have to believe in reincarnation. And
see, Pete, you're letting the conversation at that point go on longer than it needs to. All that is necessary is simply to point out that the doctrine of hell is the thing that completely disqualifies Christianity as a moral belief system. If the only way that you can defend whatever position it is that you're promoting, whatever outlook on a set of rules for here's how to live your life and here's how reality works and this, that, and the other, is through threats of violent punishment for noncompliance, you don't have a moral belief system.
Right.
And he has no business lecturing you on not being able to provide moral guidance to your own children when he is openly advocating a profoundly immoral belief system.
Well, see, he couldn't assure me that his son. I said, I believe that your son's 99% chance that they will accept the actual belief system that you take. But what if, after their age of reason, or 18 or whatever, they decide to join the Hell's Angels and reject everything? I said, then your son would be the loser under your belief system. My son, who has already passed on at the age of 5 or 6, is the winner. And it just got so foolish that
it's because it is foolish.
Yeah, they've
he
got.
really, as a learned man in this belief system, he had no counter. He just, his only thing was, well, you can't fool God that way. And I said, well,
Well, when he says that, what you throw back at him is, okay, if God, ask him if he believes that God is omniscient. Okay, and if so, then you simply point out, well, then if these are the rules that God has set up, and I am an atheist and I don't believe in him, God already knows that this is the choice that I have made. And if he's Calvinist and he believes in predestination and all the rest of it, it's God's choice that I'm not a believer. My being an unbeliever is probably part of his plan. So then where's the fairness in punishing me for adhering to his plan for me, which is to be an unbeliever?
Yeah, well,
you see,
he did admit that he did believe in free will, free choice. And
But then he has to reconcile that with divine omniscience.
Correct.
So it's utterly it's logically bankrupt all the way through.
The Christian idea of free will doesn't exist, but it's also absurd, this idea of because they look at it as, well, God's going to give you a free choice even though he already knows what you're going to pick, but God's going to give you a free choice, and if you don't pick what he wants you to pick, he's going to beat you up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And it's not even worth arguing at that point.
Yeah.
Especially if after having a decent conversation, his only attempt to gain any headway was to try and make you feel guilty about how you're raising your kids.
Yeah, emotional appeal.
Exactly right.
I'd be done with the conversation at that point because that person's beneath you. While I'll freely say that I'm a better moral character than pretty much anybody in the Bible and the God included, and so is everybody else that I run into. Maybe this guy's not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I appreciate the call, Pete. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day.
All right.
And of course, the common apologetic that you hear is, what was I about to say? God is not the one sentencing you to hell. You are sentencing yourself to hell by rejecting him.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, well, basically what that argument is exactly like saying, okay, if some thug points a pistol in my face and offers me the choice of getting shot or giving him my wallet, and I choose not to give him my wallet, have I chosen? Is it my fault that I got shot? Wow. I mean, you're taking away the responsibility from the person who is actually, being threatening. So it's just doesn't work as a moral belief system at all.
So we've got, is it Salem and Calgary?
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hey, thanks for calling. You? Oh, we're pretty good. Thanks for calling.
Right on. I was just wanting to ask you if you can prove to me that God does not exist.
Define God.
Define God. Okay, God of the Bible.
If you're being extremely literal, I mean, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas about the God of the Bible. By and large, I may not be able to prove to you that a God doesn't exist. There are some gods that you can demonstrate don't exist because they raise logical contradictions or they're in direct contradiction to the known universe. If your idea of God is a God who created everything 4,000 to 6,000 years ago, then I think we could pretty much blow that one out of the water, as the universe is closer to 13.5 billion years old. There are other possibilities depending on how you want to actually define it. But there's not much point in actually going through and attempting to disprove all the various gods that someone could believe in, even out of the choices from the Bible, when it's their job to demonstrate that whatever they believe in is actually true. It's kind of like calling and asking me to prove that there aren't leprechauns or fairies. I don't have to do that. I can, depending on specific definitions, but there's no need for that. It has nothing to do with atheism.
Yeah, the burden of proof for a claim always rests upon the person making a positive claim. So if Farmer Brown tells you that a UFO landed in his pasture last night, and stuck a flashlight up his rear end and does whatever aliens do. It's not your job to prove to him that that did not happen. It's his job to prove to you that it did happen. So.
Then why is it a theist's job to prove that he does exist?
Because the theist is the one making the positive claim that there is a God.
It's the same reason that the person who wants you to believe that they saw Bigfoot has the burden of proof. You don't have to prove them wrong. It's the same reason that when you go into court, they've got to prove that you're guilty and not that you're innocent.
But shouldn't it go the other way too, like both ways?
No, because atheism isn't the assertion that there are no gods. Atheism is a position of rejecting the God claims as unproven. There's a difference between I don't believe in a God and I believe there are no gods.
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody comes up to you and says, I am a billionaire, I have $500 million in this bank and more money in this other bank, prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
That's kind of what you're doing. Now, in that case, well, we can look at the bank accounts and maybe we can find out some information. But the person making the claim is the one that has a burden of proof. Otherwise, you would put yourself in a position where you would have to believe everything. You would have to believe the God of the Bible, the God of the Quran, the various gods from Hindu religions. You couldn't eliminate any religion as being wrong because you would be putting yourself in a position where you would have to accept them until they could be disproved. So the default position is to reject the claims until such time as there's evidence to make them believable.
But the whole concept of God, the whole concept of an existence of a being, a higher being, came from the Bible.
No,
it didn't come.
No, it didn't.
There were religions a long time before the Bible came along. I mean, the Bible itself, in its current form, the Bible that we have is less than 2,000 years old. Human civilization is about 10,000 years old, and there have been gods that whole time.
There were religions long before anybody ever wrote down the stories of the Jewish traditions.
Have you heard of ancient Egypt? Have you heard of ancient Babylon and Assyria? They all had their gods. They all had religion. They all had higher beings.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Bible, if it's taken literally, and you work the dates out, the Bible has. Would you let me finish? If you take it literally and read out the dates to get that dating period, the Bible has that God creating the universe after dogs were domesticated. There were religions and religious beliefs and God concepts long before the Jews came along.
Yeah, human civilization goes back far, far in the past, and long before the Bible was even compiled. And the Bible that we have today took 200 years to compile. So, you know, there's quite a lot of the history of religion is a very fascinating and complex subject, and it's not just easily laid out.
The biggest thing is that the God concept did not come from the Bible. You're just flatly, absurdly wrong to make a claim like that. That's like saying that music was invented by Elvis.
But isn't there a difference between the gods of, like, the pharaoh? The pharaohs were people that were exalted, and so were, like, the Babylon god, Baal, who was originally a person. And
well, they still.
What difference did it make?
Yeah, they still revered and worshipped those deities as higher beings.
There were God concepts that weren't contingent at all upon the Bible, and there was God concepts before there was writing and language, the various animist traditions.
Yeah,
okay.
You know, you have Ahura Mazda that goes back far, far beyond. So, I mean, these are all sorts of supernatural gods that live on other planes.
I'm still baffled as to what the point was.
Yeah.
Let's say that there was no God concept until the Bible comes along. What difference does that make?
I guess it doesn't make it any difference.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah. The other question that I had for you, you went to theological seminary?
No.
You say that in your bio, I believe.
No, I don't. I was studying with the intent of going to seminary when I became an atheist, so I avoided having to pay for that.
My mistake. All right. Well, it's great talking to you. I like what you're doing. You guys are. It makes people think.
Good.
I watch your show all the time.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks a bunch.
You have a good day.
Have a good day.
All right.
Bye.
As a reminder, since I didn't do the full announcements, after the show's over, most of the people get together and go to dinner at El Arroyo. I'm sure they'll get the address up as well. By the way, if you can't read the number across the bottom of your screen, I know we're having problems with our CG stuff. It's 512-472-2255. But don't be surprised if you get a busy sign because all 4 of the lines are full and have been since.
You know what I would like to hear this show? It may be hard to get it in here in the last half hour, but I would like to hear an argument from a theist or a Christian. That is new. I've been involved in this program for about 10 years now, and you hear the same arguments recycled over and over again. And what I'd like to hear, doesn't even have to be today, but at some future show, an argument that does not fall under the category of PRATT. Now, what does PRATT mean? PRATT is an acronym, P-R-A-T-T, previously refuted 1,000 times. And we've heard of this all the time. I mean, Pascal's wager.
I don't think any such thing exists.
Well,
apart from some esoteric.
That is what I would like to hear then. I would like to hear some argument for the existence of a God from a theist that has not been recycled over and over and over again and previously refuted. Can you bring us one, please? Love to hear it.
If somebody could promise me that I could live to see that, I'd be overjoyed because that would mean I would probably live forever.
Well,
let's
get those calls in then.
All right.
That is the gauntlet has been thrown.
Yeah, kill us off by giving us a brand new argument. Be really great. Jeff and Eugene, how you doing?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I didn't know I was going to be able to hear you guys live when I was on hold, and I was going to tell you that when I never watch you guys live, I wait until it's posted. And I was going to tell you, just like all the creationists that call in, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what do you mean exactly?
I didn't know I was going to be able to hear you guys.
Oh, okay. Well,
But anyways, I just wanted to know if you guys heard about Harold's camping in the Open Forum Radio.
Yeah.
He's claiming that...
May 21st.
What's that?
May 21st, end of the world, or the rapture, right?
Yeah. I was wondering if you guys had thoughts on...
Yeah, we think it's stupid. And we also think it's hilarious, and we're going to have a great time on May 22nd when he revises his whole thing and claims that he never said that and all the rest of it. It'll be fun.
When I first heard about it, I shrugged it off because this is no less than the 12 millionth one of these to come along, and I was like, this is some fringe nut job that the modern evangelicals aren't buying into this and everything else, and they're really not. But it's got enough traction because it got press, and now they've started paying to put up billboards all around. So it just means May 22nd is going to be like
the funniest day ever.
Yeah, and I've had great suggestions. Somebody posted on my Facebook page saying all the atheists should get together and just put their clothes on the front porch and hide in the basement, as if we're the only ones who got raptured. We're the godless.
That would be awesome. That would be really.
I like that.
He's going to retire May 22nd.
No. I have a feeling he's not, and I'll tell you why I think so. It's because none of the rest of them have.
Yeah.
It's always been, well, except for Jim Jones or somebody who decides to kill everybody off, but they revise their stuff. Look at Peter Popoff, who was demonstrated as a huge, horrible fake using, he got exposed by James Randi on the frickin' Tonight Show, and he's back and making more money than ever.
Yeah.
Now I can't prove to you that. Sorry. I can't prove to you that he's still a fake, but I got no reason to think otherwise.
Given his history.
It's just, it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassingly sad testimony to the poor memory and the gullibility of the population that this guy is making money hand over fist, and I'm trying to scratch together money for.
Yeah, I know. We're in the wrong line of work.
I know. We're too damn ethical.
Doesn't pay.
God told me. What's this I'm hearing? Speak up, honey.
So you can do it. You can do
God
it.
told me you've got a bunion on your toe. Yeah, it just drives me crazy. It's a big waste of time.
Yeah,
10 years ago, back on.
Criminal. Just all the people that are going to get fooled by this.
I'd like to see them. I don't know how they got away without having criminal charges brought against them last time. I'd really like to see criminal charges. I'd really like to see the bunko people go after the, well, I was going to say fake psychics, but is there any other kind? And
From
the
the Department of Redundancy Department.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, like 99, I think, Jeff D on the show every week started doing his rapture report.
Yep.
because these were coming, end of the world predictions were coming in hard and heavy and fast as the calendar was about to flip over, and everybody was having
a really convenient number for it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Every week he would have like 7 or 8, seriously. And then what was interesting was, the year 2000 came along and the world forgot to end, and so these started. It started to slow down a bit and then picked up again because Christians apparently got wind of, oh wait, the 21st century actually starts in 2001 because of the calendar you count back. There was no year zero, calendar started. So then we had this whole new round of rapture predictions for 2001, and then 2001 came along and the world forgot to end, and so then it just started trickling off finally. But it was just funny to see. I agree with you. I mean, it's if either under the RICO Act or something. It is just such a fantastic con that is going on with these religions, and it's a disgrace, really, to what they
we'd quadruple
get
the
away
deficit trying to chase after all the cons that are going on right now. Everything from the special fancy bracelets with magnets and crystal power, and then the anti-vaxxers, and it's just nonsense. It's just way too much.
It would be so much funnier if people weren't getting misled and doing crazy stuff like selling their land and drying up their savings account.
Yeah, when I hear about old grandmothers eating cat food because they gave all their money to the psychic down the street to get rid of some curse, I'm not prone to violence, but if you push hard enough, I might make an exception. I mean, it's just on the one hand. You can look at some things as okay, lesson learned, and everybody's going to get ripped off out of something at some point, and you write it off as a lesson. But when you have people whose business it is to continually rip people off, and you don't go after them, basically the only area where there's 2 areas where this happens, but the biggest area where this happens is religion. And it's because we live in a society that is pretty much, no, we can't say or do, there's no way to know whether or not they're really, there is, we can test it, and you know what, we tested prayer, guess what, it succeeds at the exact rate of chance. So far, amputees not regrowing limbs. I don't really know. I think Christians' divorce rate's higher. Any standard by which you would want to measure this, religion not only fails, but fails miserably, and it doesn't matter which religion you're actually looking at. With a couple exceptions, Buddhists generally tend to be happier. Well,
sit around blissing out all day.
If I sat around and my whole goal was to eliminate suffering and get my head in a space where I was no longer stressed out by anything, I'd probably be a little happier too. But it says nothing about the truth of any supernatural claims, which aren't necessarily. Anyway, I'm way off track.
Well, it's a P.T. Barnum's whole thing, right?
He
it's one born every minute.
Seriously underestimated the birth rate. Yeah, I got that from King's rate. I just messed it all up.
One born every picosecond.
Thanks, Jeff.
But thanks very much for your call. Appreciate it.
Keep up the good work, guys.
Do our best.
I'm evidently not functioning today, so I'm just going to let you do this next call while I sit here in silence and try to meditate.
You're going to get zen. You're going to get into touch with your Buddhist self, and you're just going to be at peace.
So we've got Anna in Nashville. How are you?
Anna, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay.
So what would you like to talk about today?
I actually have 2 questions, but I'm only going to do one, and then I'll save the one for next. I am actually a theist.
Okay.
A polytheist, actually.
Oh.
You probably don't get many of those. But my question is about religious atheists. Do you think atheists can be religious with their lack of belief in a God?
Religious about the lack of belief?
You mean in terms of...
No, they have a religion, and the religion does not include a God concept.
Oh, well, there are, for example, Buddhism, as we've just been talking about, is technically, I guess you could say, an atheistic religion. The Raelians, I guess, technically would be atheistic because they worship aliens, and they've just replaced God with aliens. So they don't have a supernatural deity they worship. So maybe if you stretched it, you could call that atheistic. So yeah, there can be religions that are atheistic, but atheism in general is, the rejection of theistic claims. So if you define religion as being a practice that involves some sort of regular ritual as well as reverence towards some kind of, spiritual leader or a figurehead who is, thought to be more or less infallible and not, capable of error and deserves to be, have their every word taken as some sort of, pronouncement. Yeah, you can do all that sort of thing without recourse to the supernatural. Now, I would think that it would be just as irrational a practice as it is when the supernatural is attached to it. I think that critical thinking and skepticism should be applied all across the board. No individual human being is infallible. No one is incapable of error. And while it is one thing to admire and respect a figure or a certain person for the things they do and their achievements and accomplishments and their ideas, it's another thing entirely to build a cult of personality around that person. For example, as a lot of the people who are into Ayn Rand have done. And oh boy, that's going to open a can of worms. Yeah. It's true. You can get religious-like behavior in situations where no supernatural deities are evident, but I still would say that that's not a rational way to go about your business. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Now, when you say you're a polytheist, can you give us some, tell us what you believe? Because that's interesting.
My religion is called Firm Sidhu, and you've never heard of it.
Could you spell it?
F-Y-R-N-S-I-D-U.
F-Y-R-N-F-I-D-U?
F as in Frank.
Oh, F as in Frank, okay.
Y-R-N. S as in Sam. I-D-U.
Oh, Firm Sidhu.
Yes.
Oh, you seem to have heard of it. I'm going to have to go.
No, I have no idea what Firm Sidhu is. She was absolutely right.
It's basically Anglo-Saxon heathenism.
Okay.
Oh, so it's some sort of ancient pagan kind of thing?
Right. It's the reconstructed traditions and beliefs of the Anglo-Saxons before they converted to Christianity.
I see. Okay, well, there's quite a lot on Google about it, so... All right.
All right.
That's interesting.
Also, could Matt tell me, no, you're done?
No, you're done.
Thank you, Anna.
Evidently...
Fellowship of Anglo-Saxon Heathenry.
Boy, do that once or twice and everybody wants you to...
Well, it does sound like it's more fun than what the Calvinists get up to, Anna. I'll give you that. So,
anything that involves dancing around naked,
we can get behind that. That's fine. So... Well, we wish you much joy of it.
Sacrifice, anything, nothing like that.
No.
Is it Fareed in Denver?
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. It's an honor to finally talk to you, Matt.
Thanks.
So, basically, I was just going to mention just a big frustration I've kind of had with theists, and that's how they kind of control the language. Like, you'll have a discussion with them, and then after about 2 seconds, they'll cut you down and act like you said some kind of absolute claim. But then when they explain their point, they pretty much do the exact same thing. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but...
No, yeah, you are, and we've noticed that.
I actually had something similar to this in a discussion, an email, where somebody had said they were in a discussion with a Christian who pretty much ended the conversation by saying, well, you really do believe, you just, won't admit it. And they were wanting to know how to deal with that, and I was like, well, ask them how they would feel if that had been what you said. That you really, obviously, it's obvious to me that there's no God. You're just afraid to admit it. And see, would they be convinced by that? Would they be upset by that? Would they be irritated? I mean, it's not an argument. It's not a claim. It's just a conversation stopper. It is an arrogant, stick your fingers in your ears, nya, 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 nya. And the number of times that sort of thing happens from the theist, directed at the atheist, is staggering. And you know why it happens? It's because they know there's no God. They're just afraid to admit it.
Exactly. And I think the problem is that people just don't think rationally about simple things. And I know you guys don't talk about politics a lot on here, but I really see that in the Republican Party. I really see, like, people don't want their beliefs to be...
I think that's...
People want to choose what to believe. They don't look for any evidence to support their belief. They just look for evidence.
I think you can find that to be true of any party and almost anybody at any given time.
But not to the... I wouldn't say to the same degree. You don't see Democrats going around with birther claims, or you don't see Democrats.
I see them going around with some stupid claims on occasion. Maybe not the birther.
Maybe not though. Maybe not stupid.
Stupid claims are not. That's not the basis of their party, and I think they can't get away with it to the same degree for the simple reason because their base isn't kind of practicing those ideas.
I won't completely disagree with you, but I'll say that it has nothing to do with the show, and I don't necessarily buy it.
Yeah. Although, put it this way, you are right. You know, the Christian right does lean towards the Republican Party. That's correct. And the Christian right is the one that really seems to like to stir things up and make trouble. So that is true, yeah.
Okay.
So,
and I was just going to ask one other thing. It's kind of off topic, too, but I was just wondering, have you guys seen the new Tron Legacy movie?
I have not.
Yeah, I was watching that, and after about 2 times, if you kind of watch it, it seems like it's really about religion, but not maybe in a religious sense.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of interesting. It might be a good point for discussion next week if you guys have a chance.
Yeah, I want to watch it, so don't say anything else about it.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Well, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I think I found Anna. I'm looking at this Ferns to Do blog here. And I think it's just
You're checking out blogs while we're on the show?
Well, I'm learning about Ferns to Do. I am expanding my horizons.
This is why we don't get paid to do this, because I'd have to dock his pay.
Look,
it's study.
I think, yeah.
It's relevant study. I'd have to give you a raise.
I am, yes.
I'm so glad we're not getting paid for this.
The ACA research team is on the job here. See, that's it? I mean...
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something
Matilda.
made up. We got Dylan in Birmingham. How you doing?
Hey, I just had some questions. I've been arguing with some of my friends that are theists. I live in the middle of the Bible Belt, so it happens pretty often. And it's really difficult to disprove their claims because of their closed-mindedness. Like, the way they're taught in Birmingham is just beyond anything I've seen, like, anywhere else.
Ah, the Deep South.
Like what?
Like, they just come up with reasons from nowhere to believe. I mean, like, all the arguments you've heard from everyone else put in one person.
Like Eve.
Yeah. So there were a couple of questions I had about the arguments they made back.
Sure.
So he said that since the universe came from a single point, that point had to be created by God.
Okay.
And that
how does he know that?
Well, he said that since there's no other explanation.
Oh, okay. That's called the argument from ignorance fallacy. And that is basically... I'm going to believe this, and I'm going to assert that it's true because you can't prove me wrong. The fact that you can't come up with he can't personally think of a better explanation has no bearing on whether or not that's true. That's like saying, you got the Peter Sellers as the Pink Panther walking in and figuring out that it's the maid just because he can't think of anybody else. I mean, that really is that dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also. He brought up the point that evolution is invalid, to which I said, well, we see evolution every day. We see, like, that's why we have to create new flu vaccines because the virus evolves. And he says, well, yes, that's true, but we've never seen anything that has macro-evolved, like
and that's just flat false.
Bigger from one-cell organisms.
And that's just flat false.
Well, if we're talking about nonsense like getting bigger from one-celled organisms, already neither person really understands what evolution is saying.
Yeah.
But speciation's been observed, and you can't spend your time trying to refute things from people who have no idea what they're talking about. You have to take a step backwards and say, okay, set aside this subject, which you are clearly not qualified to talk about, and I'm not qualified to talk about. Let's actually discuss what it is that you believe and why. And if I'm not convinced by what your reasons are, then we need to have a discussion about how one becomes convinced. What sort of evidence is required? When does a claim become believable? And why is it that you seem willing to believe something for reasons that I cannot and could not? And by the way, you don't believe competing claims for the same reasons that I'm rejecting your claim. You reject the claim of the Hindu and the Muslim and everybody else. So unless you can come up with, and you need to challenge them to come up with a justification for their belief that is specific to that belief, that meets a standard of evidence that allows them to say this is true in the face of these competing claims. And unless they can do that, the conversation's over.
I tried to take it that way, but what he said was that the Bible is the only religious book that talks about a God that doesn't have contradictions.
Google Bible contradictions.
Oh boy,
It'll take you.
There are contradictions right from the very beginning of Genesis, right? I mean, Genesis 1 has one version of the creation story, and then Genesis 2 offers a completely different version of the creation story. Yeah, so he obviously doesn't know his Bible either.
But even if it had no contradictions, that's still not a good argument.
Yeah, that would not be the thing that would prove the Bible true.
You know what else doesn't have contradictions? The blog post I made yesterday.
Oh.
Does that mean I'm God? I mean, does that mean
it's supernaturally inspired? Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta let you go because we're running short on time. There's a couple other calls I want to get to, but thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And I strongly suspect your friend doesn't know anything about fern Sidhu either, so they could have a very consistent, mythology behind their thing. So is he going to say that's right?
I don't know.
Probably not.
So we got, is it Caesar in Queens?
Yeah. Hello.
How you doing, Caesar?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I have. I totally believe that you need evidence. When you believe something, you need evidence to support it.
Cool.
Not just blind faith. And I presented a small list of reasons why I believe in God.
Okay.
And I'd like to read it out real quick.
Okay.
All right. There's Jesus Christ, the near-death experience, the finely tuned universe, the intelligent design for explaining the origins of life. I believe life comes from life only. Information can only come from a mind, not from matter. I believe chaos can exist in order, but order can't exist in chaos. I believe in the out-of-body experience and mediums and electronic voice phenomenon.
Is there anything you don't believe in?
Yeah, I mean, when are we going to get to aliens and Bigfoot?
No. I mean, these
because you gave a list of the reasons that you claim you believe in God, and all you did was list a bunch of stuff you believe in.
They collaborate towards God.
But you listed a bunch of stuff that you believe in, and guess what? I don't believe in any of those. Why should I?
No, I know.
But see, why do you believe in those things?
Look, the O.J. Simpson, I'm a little bit nervous. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's okay.
The
Tell you what.
jury didn't believe he was guilty. I mean, the whole world basically did. But I know, and I have more. I have more of these little things. But it's for many reasons why I believe in God. It's not just one reason.
But see, your reasons themselves need to be justified with some evidence. If you say you believe in out-of-body experience, you need to be able to explain why. And if you say that you believe in creationism, you need to be able to explain why. You need to be able to lay out a sort of path of evidence that got you to accepting that those claims are true. And if you can't do that, then what you've got is a belief that is founded on irrational basis, and you should probably reevaluate, and you should think, well, am I just believing these things because they sound good to me, or they seem to reinforce what I want to believe about the universe, rather than what any sort of evidence or proof actually shows? I mean, you need to understand why you believe what you believe. You need to be able to have a method that you can lay out for yourself that allows you to tell the difference between a claim that's true and a claim that's false.
So let me ask this real quick, Caesar. I'm sorry, my mic's not working quite right. Just take one off the list. For example, like near-death experiences. Near-death experiences have been investigated, and we've found no evidence that any real phenomena is actually occurring. basically what the best guess is that we're talking about a dying brain. We know what happens to your brain when it's like starved of oxygen for a little while. We know what happens when a brain is in the process of decay. And now you're talking about a brain that's actually dying. And of course, it would be unreasonable not to expect some weird experiences. But when we actually test near-death experiences, we find that they don't pass the test. The same out-of-body experiences, etc. It's really easy. Put a number on top of the cabinet, a digital display with a number, so that if you actually leave your body, you should be able to tell me what number is up on that digital display. And when we do tests like that, it fails every time. So is it more likely that this is a that there's no real phenomena here in the manner that they're speaking, and instead we're just talking about brains fantasizing and putting together pieces in the same way that we build memories. Our memories are incredibly fallible, and so you've got a brain that is in an abnormal state. And when you are revived, you come to and you start feeling normal. Your brain is trying to piece together memories of what happened when it was working right and when it was working wrong. Why do you think there's something supernatural behind that?
I got a few things to say about that. First of all, I'm not aware of any tests where they actually induce.
That's the problem.
I'm not aware of these tests you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about these tests where they put up a sign on top of the roof or whatever. I'd like to know where are these tests taking place at.
Sure, and you can start searching the internet at a million different skeptical...
Wait a minute, you personally don't know?
I don't have every study memorized. If that's a problem for you, I'm very, very sorry. But I think it's incredibly dishonest of you when I point out the fact that there are studies and that you can go look at these, and I'll be happy to look some up and give you an email if you send an email address and email them back to you. But if your objection is that I don't have these memorized off the top of my head, that's not my problem. It's not my problem that you are unaware of things that are real while believing things that aren't.
No, that's not my argument. I was saying that I'm not expecting you to have detailed information of every test. I'm just saying because I'm aware of these claims. A lot of scientists make these false claims that they debunk.
Like who? Like who? What scientist just made a false claim about out-of-body experiences?
Well, you don't expect me to have all the details.
Well, I mean, again, no, you're making a claim. They're saying
I'm
should know.
I'm not expecting Matt to have the details either. I'm fully aware that there's these scientists that do these tests.
Okay, you just said you're fully aware. So which of the scientists have made false claims? Well, I'm trying to get you've now made a claim.
I want to make sure that we're fair. You're saying that you are aware of scientists who have made claims and that these claims are false. How do you know that their claims are false?
Because by the nature of the tests they've done, you go into the details of how they conducted these tests, and you see that they're improper.
How are they improper? Well, give me an example of an improper test.
Well, first of all, like they have in one hospital in America, just one hospital, they have a sign on top of in the ceiling of the room where a lot of patients die in heart attack natural causes. And out of that one little exam, they haven't found a person who had a near-death experience. I mean,
So you're basically saying that you've come across one of the studies that I was talking about, and you're claiming that it's false.
Because that's such a narrow net. How can
No. I said there were studies. You wanted me to cite one, and now you're saying you knew about one. You just don't believe it, and you don't think that the protocol is good because it's too narrow. Hang on, Caesar. Guess what? That's too damn bad.
Really?
If the test does not produce evidence, then you don't have evidence for the claim. And until you actually come up with evidence for the claim, a test that does pass, there's nothing wrong with this test. And I guarantee you that if one person had an out-of-body experience there and mentioned that sign, you would not be claiming that this test is in any way faulty. That is dishonest. It demonstrates the bias. It's a confirmation bias. You are looking for the information that confirms the nonsense that you already believe, and you are rejecting the information that challenges what you already believe. That is not an honest assessment of a claim.
No, there's a reason why I don't believe. The test itself, it can work. The reason why it hasn't produced anything is because it's so narrow. You might have to wait years, decades, centuries. There's only one room in one hospital in the entire
But
country.
if it's an out-of-body experience, then it still should work, right? I mean, a person should be able to float around the room.
Well, who knows when? 10, 20, 50, 100 years?
And you know
So
what?
now what you're doing is a fallacy called moving the goalposts, right? It's you get a study that doesn't give you the results you want, and now you're saying, oh well, we're going to have to study this for centuries.
No. The thing is, that's why the test. That's why I think the test is improper. Because
No, Caesar, the test is proper. Your objection is that they're not doing it in enough places, but you don't know how many places they're doing it. You have no idea how often this is being done.
Neither do you.
And
I'm
yet,
just saying.
and it doesn't matter, because if it takes 1,000,000 years before we get a result, then it takes 1,000,000 years before the claim is believable. If you believe it before then, you are being irrational. You are accepting something without evidence, which is by definition irrational.
And that is just one tiny aspect of the near-death experience. There's a whole lot of it I could get into.
Well, anyway, you were wanting an example of a study. I just pulled one up right here. You can find
I know,
this,
but that's just one criticism. And there's a whole body of work in near-death experience.
Using virtual reality goggles, a camera, and a stick, scientists have induced out-of-body experiences, the sensation of drifting outside one's own body in healthy people. This is published in the journal Science in 2007.
Okay.
When people gaze at an illusory image of themselves through the goggles and are prodded in just the right way with the stick, they feel as if they have left their bodies. This would seem to demonstrate that what people call out-of-body experiences is a neurological phenomenon, not a supernatural one. The research reveals that the sense of having a body, of being in a bodily self, is actually constructed from multiple sensory streams.
And you know what contradicts that evidence you just told me?
What?
Is that when a brain is dying, it's starved of oxygen. It's not working properly. You're not even supposed to have any hallucinations or dreams. That's
How do you know
How do you know that? Have you ever died?
What are you saying? Are you an expert now that you know you're not supposed to have hallucinations or dreams when a brain's dying? When actually that's exactly what
nonsense. When the brain is breaking down, you can have random nonsense that doesn't make any sense. That you could be seeing colors
and yet you're
noises.
convinced. And yet you're convinced that when this brain completely breaks down, everything repairs itself as the soul goes off with the memories that are gone.
And no, it doesn't repair itself. It's not broken. It's dying. It's not broken.
Okay.
Wait, if it's dying, it's not broken?
So it starts working again afterwards?
I think you need to reevaluate.
I tell you what, Caesar, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah.
I really am. You make a list of things that you believe, and when we point out reasonable objections to them, you've got a complaint for everything.
And I got two reasons why I'm not an atheist. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I got one reason you're not an atheist, but go ahead.
Okay. Atheism makes no positive arguments for
so what?
reality.
So what?
Yeah.
What difference does that make?
All right. And the other reason is science makes no claims for a godless reality. So then I'm asking you or anybody really, why should I be an atheist when I can be a Catholic or a Christian or whatever?
Sure. Why should you be a Catholic instead of a Muslim? Why should you be a Catholic?
That's a genetic fallacy. Don't go there. I'm well aware of these arguments.
I'm not talking about the genetic fallacy, and don't tell me not to go there. I'm asking a question.
Because I was born in America.
You want to know? You want to know why? You want to know why you should be an atheist and not a Catholic? And my answer is because there's not sufficient evidence to believe Catholicism is true. And if you care at all about whether or not what you believe is true, you cannot reasonably be a Catholic or anything else. And that's the end of the show. We're out of time. I apologize. There's Liz to the crew. Thanks to Martin. Thanks to Jay Silverman for calling in. Remember the American Atheist Convention, and there'll be people at dinner at El Arroyo shortly. Bye-bye. I'm Caesar, and I believe everything I hear.